Have you been playing the role of the fool with all different types of relationships in your life, like friends, family, lovers, potentially, where you seem to be perceived often as naive and foolish in the things that you do? My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is the foolish rare bird. I just got back from the mountain, and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm going to do a video on what a fool I am. There's plenty of material for that. I thought, I'm going to discuss all the ways I've been a fool. And then I just laughed for like a while as I was driving up the mountain, because we don't have enough decades for me to make a video on all the ways I've been a fool. That would take far too much time, trust. Heather has been foolish in so many different ways in this life. And I've been going through some of the divergent personality matrices that I have because I want to work with like minds. Rare Bird Medicine was designed to work with those rare birds that may have spent many, many decades in their paradigm in a space of self-beat up and self-loathing and false conversations that are placed on them, and wanting to break that off and be the light that you are and the agape you came to be. And so Rare Bird Medicine came to offer you this remembering or bringing back together that which is the truth underneath these false perceptions of fantastic, strange humans that are on the earth, like you and I. And I'm often made to feel foolish, right? Like the Maori tribe calls autistic people that are outside of space-time. It's one of the greatest definitions I've found regarding myself. I'm like, that is exactly me. Like autistic people have a tendency to interrupt, and it's because they're in a different space-time. It's not because they're trying to be rude. They just get excited. Like, you may mention something about their special interest, and then they may interrupt and be like, and data dump. And then you're like, what just happened? Was I talking, or what's happening? And so sometimes there are things present where you look foolish or you look rude or you look inconsiderate, but you're actually not. Like, in addition to being autistic, I'm an INFJ, which is the advocate, which is the external feeler, which means I'm constantly, every room I go into, feeling everyone in the room. And Heather Feather is always looking like an INFJ as to how she can elevate any given space she goes into. Like, I always pray and hold awareness that any job I hold, that business will thrive while I work for them. Clients will come, they will thrive, energy comes in, because I hold the awareness that I am able to advocate for them to be blessed because I'm with them, you know? And so it's like, as an INFJ though, INFJs are very intimate. They like to go really deep in conversation. They have a tendency to make eye contact and really generously listen. They actually cause people to feel really heard and seen. And they've done studies that people often feel when you're making eye contact with them that you have romantic interest. So many people assume INFJs are flirting with them, but they're actually just doing what they do naturally with all beings, which is being very intimate and in a way that feels like a safe space. And so many people leave a conversation with an INFJ and they're like, why did I say all of that? I just shared so much and so many personal details. Oftentimes you may not know as much about your INFJ friend because they're probing, asking questions, listening, creating safe space, trying to elevate the energy of what's going on to be a grace. But it can get misinterpreted as flirting. And it's like, it's a common problem for them. And so a lot of ways that I am foolish actually stem from my aspects of my matrix. It is true that I'm autistic. I will be that way until I die. It just means that my brain works a little different in the paradigm. I'm kind of out of space time. I sometimes might interrupt or data dump or talk too fast or, you know. And so I have to remind myself, because I'm not a victim to being autistic, slow down. I have to remind myself, not everyone wants an entire book on a subject that you're interested about. Remember to ask about their interest, right? I have to lean into my INFJ to balance out my autistic ways. But I am a clown in all kinds of ways. I've been studying A Course in Miracles now for decades. I've had classes with my best friend on A Course in Miracles. It's never meant to become a church or receive money, so you can open up spaces, but money's not meant to be exchanged with this particular spiritual text. And so we used to have classes in my home with my best friend. Like, I love this book. I study it. I talk to her about it all the time. And it was at 50 that I came to fully comprehend and break open wide what the Course has been saying all along. The I and the Father are one is meaning that we are literally at home in heaven with the Father at all times. It is stating that this reality is a manifestation or a hologram or a delusion of separation from our eternality and our at-homeness and at-one-ment with divinity. And that spirit or God wants for us to be enjoying, because like I and the Father are one. Why would God want to not be enjoying itself? And because I and the Father are one, God is sinless and we are sinless too. And so I like had this huge awakening this year where I was like, oh my God, my entire function is to be joy. And I've spent most of my life being depressed and having severe suicidal ideation and being riddled with dark thoughts. Now, this is true that can be a challenge of neurodivergence. It can be a challenge of INFJs because they often feel isolated because they're not speaking with people that operate in their same way. So there are aspects of my matrix that can lead to these things. But my special interest is spirituality, and I've been studying it my whole life. And at 50, I was like, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong the whole time. You know, I laugh a lot. I am a clown. I'm a fool. I'm a sacred clown. And you know, in the Native nations, there is the sacred clown construct, which is the person in the tribe that laughs often, gets people to laugh, is very silly, is often found laughing, but they have a sacredness to their being and that they have some trickster totem too. And they might aid you to shake awake and break open that ego imprisonment that you may find yourself in. And I've really related a lot to Heyoka empath. A definition of Heyoka empath can be similar to a highly sensitive person, which I also relate to, but it's where you have, you know, like extreme awareness or sensitivity to what's going on. And you may say things that are very awakening in a jarring way. And Heather Feather has a tendency to do that often. In the Lakota, that is called Heyoka empath. In the Hopi tradition, it's more of a sacred clown. There's a different name for it. But in the northern parts of the Hopi Native nations, they had raven totem for the sacred clown, which is one of my totems. In the southern parts, they had coyote totem, which is one of the totems I work with. I work with all of the trickster totem spirits. And I used to not like that word. I'm like, I don't like a trickster. Like, I'm not a trickster. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm never trying to trick you. It's not even in my bandwidth or frequency to do such a thing. I often don't even believe that others are trying to trick me, though. This is part of how I'm very foolish. Like, I've had tons of people lie to me, trick me, manipulate me. But still at 50, I have to like remind myself that there are beings that choose to lie. Like, I can't relate to it, but I have to remind myself that it is an option in the paradigm. And so I had a $4,500 cybercrime last year, you guys. You know, I'm a single income household, and grace be to divinity because it got resolved. But there are all different types of ways Heather Feather has been taken advantage of because of the naivety present in my neurodivergence. I may have this 130 IQ and be not a genius, but relatively intelligent, but I am a fool and act like a child or very, very ignorant of social dynamics in a lot of different ways. I don't understand the dynamics that are going on. I was thinking this past month quite a bit about a dear friend of mine that came to visit. I've known him for decades. He's one of my closest guy friends in the world. And I was in a cafe and I had just gotten annuity payments that I started getting at the age of 50. And I was feeling super rich and excited and blessed because I don't have to work for anyone but Heather Feather anymore. And I was trying to buy him a coffee and he was like, no, he's being a gentleman and like, no, I'll, you know. And I was like, I'm rich, bitch. Like, pardon my French. I yelled it out in the cafe because I was like excited, like a clown. I'm just yelling up in there. And I'm like laughing and like, please let me get it. And he was like, do not yell that out because he has awareness that somebody could try to mug you or like, you shouldn't be yelling that. Like, I literally am a fool and have no idea. I've given people love notes of like all the things I've seen in them. And like, this is my romance, is to come and be like, I like you. Here, I wrote this love letter to you for 4 months. And then get extreme rejection. You know, I've had tons of rejection, which makes me feel like a fool. If you feel like a fool, it's important to know it's not necessarily a bad thing to be. To some Native Nations tribes, it's a sacred thing to be in community because you can get people to laugh, you can laugh at yourself, you can help others to laugh at themselves too. If you'd like to come laugh at yourself with me this summer, I have a class I'm teaching for the Lionsgate portal. You can go to rarebirdmedicine.com, click on the classes link, and join the 9 students that we've already gathered for this wonderful gathering. 𝐿𝐿